As we close out this week's Too Early predictions, how can the young USC Trojans impact Houston as they get ready for rookie minicamp? But more so, not only year one, but in the future, what does their time with the Houston Texans look like?
You are Locked On Texans, your daily podcast on the Houston Texans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Battle Red Nation, welcome to today's episode of the Locked On Texan podcast. I know we are getting ready for the weekend. We're also getting ready for rookie minicamps. We're getting ready for more Texans talk here on the show, and you will get that from me, John Hickman, your Locked On and Texans football analyst and credential media member. Thank you for making us your first listen of the day, each and every day, being a part of the show, being a friend of the show, being a family of the show, and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We've been going at it, guys. We are going into the weekend with some fan mail, right? You guys were able to reach out to me, whether on social media or through YouTube. So it's time to respond to some of your questions, concerns, and comments. We are wrapping up the too early AFC South look in the conversation. The Titans, they did some things, but it's not enough. So I'll dive into why the Tennessee Titans may be an improved team, but I don't think that they'll be more improved than what the Houston Texans are bringing to the board. And will they be able to compete? I don't know. We open up today's show with my man Mark from Locked On USC. We're talking about the rookie Trojans, Jaquavius Woody Marks, Jaylin Smith, who signed his rookie deal. And by the way, the Houston Texans. Does Nick Caserio care about setting precedents? A fully guaranteed contract for wide receiver, Jaden Higgins, second round? Does he care at all? He don't care. The Texans are really high on that young man, and that contract proves it. Today's episode is brought to you by Amazon Fire TV Stick 4K. Turn any TV into your Xbox. No console needed. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to learn more. Without further ado, it's time to talk to the experts of all things USC football. Mark, welcome to the show.
Hey, John, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you for stopping by, talking with the Texan fans and listeners. They want to know about the USC Trojans. They want to know about these guys, man. You do a very good job of covering Locked On USC, covering the USC football team over on Locked On USC. So I want to dive right into it. Of all of the guys that are signing their rookie contracts for the Houston Texans. Again, Jaden Higgins just signed one of the first, I think the first all guaranteed, fully guaranteed contracts for a second rounder. Jaylin Smith kicked it off right early in the week. He signed his rookie contract first. And Jaylin Smith is a guy that, again, where does he impact Houston day one? Is it a future? Is he a guy that has more impact in the future? What should Texan fans know about this young man?
The first thing you need to know about Jaylin is, and you hear it all the time, people say he's a dog. Jaylin Smith is one of those guys. If you were to open up his chest, you're just going to see a dog in there barking and howling.
What kind of dog? Now, it's different dogs and different. What kind of dog?
He's a junkyard dog. He is not afraid of the fight. He will not back down. And the best way for me to describe that is when he arrived at USC, this was before Lincoln Riley. USC wasn't in a great spot, and he had plenty. There was opportunity. He could have transferred out. He could have used that transfer portal. He could have gone to a program that was on better footing, so to speak. But he hung out. He finished what he started, and because of that persistence, he was able to be coached up by Danton Lynn for a year, by Doug Belk for a year, and he went from a player who really, I don't know if he was out of position or they just didn't have the right spot for him. But they put him out there on the outside on the corner, and it was just like, where's he been for the last 4 years? He's just that type of guy. So he had a fantastic senior campaign. He blew up at the college all-star game, and then Houston said, "Wow, I've seen enough. Let's take him." I don't think anybody anticipated him actually going that early. So
no, not at all, and that was a shocker to me when it happened.
Jaylin is one of those guys where you just give him an opportunity. He's a worker. That work ethic is just part of his natural DNA. Like I said, he doesn't back down from anybody. Doesn't matter how big, how strong. You could put him in there at the nickel, You can put him out there at the boundary. He's going to get the job done for you. And he's a physical guy too. Again, not afraid to stick his nose in there for run support either.
Mark Colkin, Locked On USC. We're talking Jaylin Smith. We're talking Woody Marks. We'll get to Marks in a moment, but you mentioned that he's a dog, right? And all he needs is the opportunity to get out there. When I go back and look at some of his tape, is he a dog? Absolutely. Will he come up there and make plays? Absolutely. He reminds me of Jalen Petrie, who the Houston Texans just signed to a contract extension. Now, in terms of coverage, what are your concerns there? And more so, does he have a ways to go to not be as a liability for a team, or was it just USC's defense and maybe guys up front that didn't give him, pressure to kind of make plays on the ball? What was going on with Smith last year?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of all of that. As a cornerback, the shorter time that you've got to be in coverage, the better you are. One of USC's strengths on defense wasn't necessarily the front line, the defensive line, or at linebacker. They didn't generate a lot of pressure. So there were times where, the secondary had to cover, 4 seconds. And 4 seconds in the NFL covering is probably 1.5 seconds too long, in my opinion. The other thing that I think Jaylin just has to get away from, because he is so aggressive, is maybe gambling a little bit too much, guessing. So you can get beat on that, but he has good recovery time. He's got fluidity in those hips, so he can turn and burn and get back there. But I guess that would be the first thing. It's just you're stepping up now to the NFL level. Don't gamble as much. Don't think you're the play, because they can design it and they can disguise it much better than they do at the college level.
Absolutely. So is he outside? Is he inside? Should Houston look to kind of use him as a slot corner, or do you see him having an opportunity to thrive outside?
I think
is he ready now?
Yeah, I think he can thrive outside. That's when he made the jump from he's an okay player at USC too. Okay, this guy's an all-conference level player now. Once they moved him to the outside, his game took off. Again, I don't know if it was because there was just too much to read playing on the inside, maybe getting lost, getting lost in the wash because he's trying to go up against offensive linemen that are blocking him as opposed to a wide receiver, that type of stuff. I just think he's better on the outside. Who knows what happens though when he gets to the NFL?
Yeah, and that's true. And I asked that question because right now Houston does need more depth and guys that they can trust long term to be outside, right? Derek Stingley's here in Houston. Kamari Lassiter, who had a great rookie year, is here in Houston. They signed Ronald Darby in the offseason. Smith is a player that I think is absolutely a part of their future plans. Also a player that is a part of their future plans, Jaquavius Woody Marks. Houston has Joe Mixon, right? He's a guy that they really love. They traded for him last season and then extended him for a couple of seasons. For me, the talking process going into the draft was find you a running back for the future, a guy that doesn't necessarily have to be a day one impact player, however, can spell Joe Mixon when needed, and when it's his time, he can take over. They go out and get Woody Marks, and that seems like that's his career, starting when he was at another college and ended up at USC. He's a Texan rookies fan favorite right now. Can you validate their feelings for the Texan fans? Like, is he that guy for the future for Houston?
If you like somebody who's going to work hard and who is humble,
that's Houston. That is the Houston Texans organization.
Just wrap your arms around Woody Marks. Just a really special young man. He came over from Mississippi State, and he's not going to be the physical punishing runner. Joe Mixon, I think, is a guy who can get you yards after contact. Woody's the guy, if before you touch him, he's 5 yards through the hole. That's what he can bring. The other thing that he brings is he's got great hands coming out of the backfield. So if you want to incorporate him into your passing game, you got a stud right there. Ironically, believe it or not, it didn't happen at Mississippi State before he came to USC, but he came to USC. He became USC's first 1,000-yard rusher since Ronald Jones. You might remember that name from back in 2017 with USC. So Woody is going to be, I don't know if he's going to be a frontline starter. You might not run him 3 times out of, every 4 plays. But he's a guy who you can, you can get some big plays out of. He's not going to be a breakaway guy, but you can use him in so many different ways. Again, out of the backfield, catching the pass. And if you got good blocking up front, just give him a crease. He'll get through there and he'll get you 4 to 5 yards every time he touches the ball.
And for Texan fans, I do want to reiterate that with the new offensive regime coming over, Nick Caley, and the background that he has from LA, but more so when I look at his New England days, guys, you got to look at players like Shane Vereen, James White, Kevin Falk, Danny Woodhead, guys that were extremely impactful out of the backfield in terms of catching the ball.
Yep.
And when I look at what I think Caley will incorporate, I think that's where Woody Marks plays into favor for this Houston Texan offense. And so you say he reminds you of what running back again? Was it the first USC running back with 1,000 yards?
Remind me of it. He became USC's first 1,000-yard rusher since Ronald Jones.
Ronald Jones.
We used to call him the Texas Tesla. He was from the state of Texas. But for USC just to go that long without a 1,000-yard rusher was really interesting. He came over. He just put his helmet on and just went to work. He became a team leader. He's not the most vociferous guy, but he'll lead by example. And again, he's not afraid of contact. He'll stand back there and he'll give you a little bit of pass protection. But his biggest asset, put the ball in his hands in open space, and he'll make somebody miss.
Yeah,
he's got that kind of movement.
I would like to say, because you're on the show, and I like to do a very good job of using all 4 of my eyes. If I was in a car right now, I would honk. Because UCLA does suck. Thank you for stopping by the show, Mark, and giving us some insight on the 2 USC Trojans that are now Houston Texans. Please let our listeners know where they can find all of your amazing work and your coverage over the USC Trojans.
Absolutely. Just like John's doing Locked On Houston 5 times a week, you can find me over there at Locked On USC 5 times a week as well. And when I'm not there, I'm also a contributing writer with WeAreSC.com, which is part of the On3 network. So keep myself busy. I got a question for you, John. I had to ask you this. I looked up and down that coaching and staff roster. What is a love affair with USC players? I mean, you got Kalen Bullock and Solomon Byrd the year before, Brian Cushing, Sean Cody going back, Robert Woods was on the roster last year.
Yeah.
What is it?
You know, this franchise does a good job of just finding talent. So if Smith and Marks has in their limited role, because I do think they'll have a limited role this year compared to Bullock, but if they are able to impact the team like he did in their role, you just look at that tradition of guys just from USC being great Houston Texans, right, and having great moments for this team. Shout out to Sean Cody. I always go back to the Air Oregon story where he was talking about recruiting him. He became a Houston Texan eventually, but that's just what it is. Of the years that USC isn't necessarily the USC, they is still putting out some good players.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what the Houston Texans find. They just find diamonds in the rough, so just good players.
Well, hey, I love it. I love the fact. So, I mean, I even though I'm from LA, the LA Rams kept breaking my heart every time they moved stadiums. And when they finally went out to St. Louis, I said enough was enough. I've never really had a team since then. So you guys keep drafting, USC Trojans.
Come root for H-Town, man. Come root for H-Town, man. Thank you for stopping by, Mark. I really appreciate it. Locked On Texan fans, when we come back, we'll be diving into, should the Titans scare you or not? Are they ready, or do they have a ways to go? Guys, did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? That's right. You can turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, and sign into Xbox Game Pass Unlimited with EA Play included, and you're ready to go. Dive into hundreds of premium titles, including EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty, as easily as you stream your favorite shows. You ever wanted to try out an Xbox game without the big upfront investment of a console? Fire TV Stick 4K can be a low-pressure way to start exploring. And do you ever find yourself flipping through apps to find one place that just works? We've all been there. With Fire TV Stick 4K, everything is in one place, from Netflix to YouTube, where you can watch the Locked On Texans podcast and the Locked On Podcast Network and beyond. They have it all right at your fingertips. You're just missing out. So Head to Amazon.com/FireTV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass and subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen. Welcome back, Locked On Texan listeners and viewers, Texan fans across the nation. Before we dive into a too early look at the AFC South, as we wrap that up with talking about the Tennessee Titans, I thought that they had a good draft. I thought that they did some good things in the offseason. I think that where they were last year is kind of hard to make an immediate jump, but if anybody can do it, I think between the Jags and the Titans in this division, they can. We've seen the Houston Texans do it, right? In year one of C.J. Stroud, I want to mention and go back to the rookie contract situations for the Houston Texans. Jaylin Smith, again, he kicked it off earlier in the week, signing his 4-year deal worth $6.16 million with $1.12 million signing bonus. Graham Mertz, 6th-round quarterback, he signed a 4-year, $4.934 million contract with a $228,000 signing bonus. Safety Jaylin Reed, he got in on the action. He has signed his contract as well. But going back to the rookie Jaden Higgins, fully guaranteed 4-year contract valued at $11.7 million. This is a historic deal. This is the first fully guaranteed contract for a second-round pick in NFL history. This was reported by Aaron Wilson. You guys know who Aaron Wilson is. Does a great job covering the Houston Texans. And I just want to talk about that for a brief moment, because the one thing that I really wanted to see the Houston Texans do this offseason, something that I have not seen them do throughout their franchise history, at least consistently, was draft players that will be able to come in and learn under the guys that are already your top dogs, your big dogs. And in the past, they've done it like sporadically here and there, like bringing in DeAndre Hopkins with Andre Johnson years ago, doing it with Jadeveon Clowney, with J.J. Watt was already here on the team. They tried it with Kevin Johnson years ago. He just didn't pan out. But if you look at the Houston Texans strategy, okay, they didn't need to do it at defensive end because they extended Danielle Hunter. Will Anderson is already here. They already had Derek Stingley last season. Then they draft Kamari Lassiter, and they have the coaching staff in place to get him to where he can play at a high level consistently and make plays for Houston, right? I think when you look at the linebacker group, when you bring in Azeez Al-Shire, the guys that were already there for Houston, the Christian Harris, like, you just want him to learn from him, right? And then you draft Henry T, and, he's going to go through the learning curve process. So guys that are your projected big dogs, they will be able to kind of pay it forward. And that's what the Houston Texans draft strategy is. And I think that is how you create a window of success for a sustainable amount of time. And so when I say that, Nico Collins, your big dog in that wide receiver room, he is that guy, right? Jaden Higgins. And not only is Jaden Higgins going to be a part of that conversation in a couple of years for, like top wide receiver twos, depending on what's going on with Nico Collins, but he's a Nico Collins replicate. 6'4", 4'4", 4'5", 40 type of guy who can make plays down the field, who can big body receivers. Jaquavius Marks, Woody Marks, right? Your big dog, Joe Mixon. You traded for him last season, traded a 7th rounder for him. He gets here, immediately extends him to a 3-year deal. By the time next season, we should see, if all things pan out, and this is a gamble, of course, but we should see Mark start to take some of the load off of Joe Mixon. And quite honestly, depending on what type of camp he has, starting Friday with rookie minicamps, and again, it won't be a lot, guys, that's going on with rookie minicamps, right? A couple of days, that is the time, and I mentioned it early in the week, where we're going to see guys get acclimated, right? And I mentioned closer to the week, we'll start seeing some of those guys sign their contracts, and eventually we'll start seeing some of these rookie numbers get put out, so we can have fun on social media. But Mark should start being able to spell Mixon now a little bit, depending on down or distance to downs in situations. Same for Jaylin Smith, right? You just signed Jalen Petrie to an extension. He's a guy that reminds me of what he does well, like Jalen Petrie. So I commend the Houston Texans on looking themselves in the mirror and saying to ourselves, let's focus on what works and how can we replicate that? How can we do it? And I think they did a very good job starting in 2023 with that draft, right? Because they had to get a quarterback and they get Will Anderson and things of that nature. But they did a very good job of really starting to bring in guys that fit the mold of what they do well in 2024. Then you look at the offseason and the free agency that they had, following that up with this year, which is why I think that they'll look to bring in a young D tackle in next year's draft. Now, when I look at the Tennessee Titans, I like the things that they did this year, guys. I really did. Cam Ward with the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 draft. They brought in 2 new receivers to help go along with Calvin Ridley. They brought in Gunnar Helm. They also got a couple offensive linemen. Also in free agency, they did a good job of just bringing in Dan Moore Jr. to help solidify that offensive line. Kevin Zittler, right guard. J.C. Latham, he's going to make a step. Peter Skoronski, he's going to be a left guard. So really beefing up that offensive line to make sure that they have the protection that they need. I understand that they finished the year at 3-4, but that was year 1 of Bryce Callahan, and he was not working with the quarterback that he probably wanted to work with. So now he was able to go get his guy, Cam Ward, the number 1 overall pick. There's a video floating around on social media right now of Joe Sheen, the New York Giants general manager, calling Tennessee. I mean, y'all sure y'all don't want to make a move? Because, we'll meet you where you at. And Tennessee was like, no. Tennessee was like, this is our quarterback. He's a guy that we absolutely want, and they got him. When I look at the Tennessee Titans as everything that they've done, I just don't know if it'll be enough. Do I think that they finished the year with 3 wins? No, I don't. Again, this could be a very competitive bunch. They actually beat Houston last year. And with better quarterback play, you look at guys like Calvin Ridley having the opportunity to really leave his mark on games, right? The addition of Gunnar Helm, a guy that I've watched at Texas, and he does a lot of the dirty work. He also can drift in and out of zones, and he's a very QB-friendly tight end. Getting some more defensive help. One of the more underrated moves in this offseason, again, when I look at what the Tennessee Titans was able to do, just getting safety help so they won't get beat so much down the field. This is the team that I expect for year 2 of Bryce Callahan's offensive system. The guys that were already there to have much more of a handle on a playbook and what the offense should look like. For Cam Ward to come in, who I think is light years more talented than Will Levis, and has the focus to take a playbook, because he's been in multiple systems. So he knows what a successful offense looks like. And I don't think it'll be an issue for him to kind of fight with learning what's in front of you and learning on the fly. He doesn't necessarily just turn the ball over too much. He's going to be a pretty good quarterback for the Tennessee Titans for years to come if all things work out. But I don't know. I look at the Tennessee Titans like you guys and the Jags should be fighting for the 2nd seed in the AFC South. Houston did a very good job when you look at where they failed last year, not having consistent wide receiver depth to make plays. They did a very good job of – they got about 7 guys on this roster right now who can come in and compete. And, oh, by the way, for those of you who were asking, Justin Watson signed a 2-year deal. Why wouldn't he be here? The Houston Texans have moved on after signing a player to a 2-year deal in the offseason before. They've done it before. This team will be about, can you compete or not? Can you come in and be a productive player when you hit the field? And if guys are outperforming those guys, then guys are just outperforming those guys. But bringing back Foley, they beef up on the run defense. They beef up on their defensive line. Darrell Taylor, one of the more underrated moves of the offseason for Houston. He's going to be a guy that you can throw in depending on distance to downs on the defensive side of the ball to create pressure on the quarterback. Will Anderson, who, if he has a healthy season, like he's going to be an all-pro type of player. Danielle Hunter. Houston did a very good job of, again, just replicating the things that they did well, and they got better offensively by the players that they added. So if they were already the number one team last season, I fully expect for them to be the AFC South champs once again. It's not about that for them, though. It really is about advancing to an AFC conference game. But when I look at, are the Titans ready or not, I would not be surprised if they stole a game from the Houston Texans this year. And we've seen Houston steal games from other teams before when they had a younger team, when they were led by a rookie quarterback. So it wouldn't be shocking. Fan Mail Friday is up next. You guys had an opportunity to either fill out the form or, I'm looking at the YouTube comments, what y'all got on y'all mind? We'll find out when I come back. But as a small business owner, for all of you guys out there that are busting your tail, I know that your work doesn't end when the clock hits 5 or 6 or 7. Sometimes it may be midnight and you're getting calls like, hey, we need help. What's going on? Your business is always on your mind, which means it's time to hire. When it's time to hire, you need a partner that works just as hard as you do. That's where LinkedIn Jobs comes in. When you clock out, LinkedIn clocks in. LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free. Share it with a network and get qualified candidates all in one place. LinkedIn's new feature can help you write job descriptions and then quickly get your job in front of the right people with deep candidate insights. And here's a pro tip, add the hashtag hiring frame to your profile picture to double your reach to qualified candidates. No wonder 72% of small businesses say that LinkedIn helps them find high-quality hires. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. That's linkedin.com/lockedonnfl to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Welcome back, Locked On listeners. We are closing out this week with some Fan Friday, hearing from you guys. And we go into the weekend. Rookie minicamp will take place later Friday. I think that's going to cause a lot of excitement. I think that we'll hear some great things coming out of rookie minicamp. But please, let's not overreact. I gave you guys the important dates early in the week. They got some more practice dates in May. You got June rolling around. And before you know it, July will be here and we will be at training camp. And that's going to be fun. My man, Ladarius Henderson Burner. And a lot of Ladarius Henderson fans are popping up. Shout out to my boy, Corey Barrett, Dr. Barrett. He was really one of the, I would say probably the first person to really give Ladarius Henderson some love. Didn't get an opportunity to show what he can do last season for the Houston Texans, injured before even preseason started. So he's a guy that Nick Caserio mentioned earlier this week on 610 Radio. Very impressed with his body's transformation. Excited to see what he looks like when he's out there. The last guard that had a very impressive body transformation, he is now in Philly. So hopefully Henderson didn't lose too much weight. Hopefully he bulked up a little bit while getting into NFL shape. But the Ladarius Henderson question is, hot take, the Texans made a mistake in not investing into their guards and interior offensive linemen. You guys are that is a concern for a lot of people, right? Biggest concern, again, it says starting guards and center. Andrews will be a Houston Texan. They signed him off waivers when he was released from the New England Patriots. Jake Andrews. He played at Troy. So you look at Cole Popovich and his connection to Troy. right? Jake Andrews as well. Popovich was the offensive line coach in 22. Jake Andrews spent some time at Troy during that time. So I think that he'll have a guy that can vouch for him. The Patriots liked him enough to draft him a couple of seasons ago. Didn't work out. As of right now, am I concerned? I'm going to say 50-50. I'm 50-50 on the concern right now because, I think we're going to start the season by seeing Cam Robinson at left tackle, Blake Fisher at right tackle, unless Trent Brown is back healthy and he's extremely motivated to play football. So I think those are going to be the tackles. I think Titus Howard will start the season at left guard. The concern right now is center, Juice Scruggs, Jared Patterson, and right guard. Again, mentioning Ladarius Henderson, the burner account that you call yourself. I wonder, 6'4" frame, 6'4" body, 6'5", what he'll look like for Houston this year. But I will say this, whoever is the center and guard, best believe that they gave Cole Popovich the best looks at getting to the second level and being able to pull. Two things that I believe that we'll see an improvement from this offensive line bunch. So I'm 50-50 on the concern because I think there isn't the name. The names that are out there for Houston right now isn't sexy. And I believe that's what's blowing a lot of the Texan fans away. Ed Ingram, Tomlinson, those are not sexy names, but those are names of players that, depending on coaching and what's going on around them, they could just possibly be good fits for the Houston Texans. Or we may see Jared Patterson and Juice Scruggs center guard because they are the younger guys in that group. They may just be better options. Christopher Jackson, 1898. Mechie should make the team over Watson and screw Jared Wayne. Guys, go watch some Justin Watson. This is not a shot at Justin Watson. I think that what he brings to a team, he brings that championship caliber mindset, but the competition going to tell a lot. Justin Watson don't have a number right now. And again, the Houston Texans have moved on from players they've signed to 2-year deals before. So this would be Mechie's year to prove it. And I've said it before, if he doesn't prove it by the end of training camp, by the end of preseason, I could see a scenario where Mechie is traded away from the Houston Texans to another team that may be wide receiver hungry. And maybe that team is Pittsburgh. I'm just kind of spitballing here because outside of DK Metcalf, they ain't got nobody for real. But I don't believe that, and I don't want to respond to the Jerry Wayne comment. I know a lot of Texas fans are not feeling Jerry Wayne after how everything took place last season with Tank Dell, but guys, that was a bang-up play. My man Cody Johnson, 89-16. Thing is, John Autry is really the only guy on the roster that can play both edge and D tackle consistently. I agree. This allows you to have 5 bodies at both positions while only carrying 9 DL. For that reason alone, I think he's on the team's 53. I'm not against it. But guys, age comes into factor. And if I listen to Nick Caserio say things like there's many different ways to improve a roster, and I look at some of the decisions that they made for that defensive line unit this offseason, they secured the outside guy in Darrell Taylor. They got him. They brought him in, right? He's a guy that can come in and be a third down specialist. They brought back Sheldon Rankins. So those are 2 guys that fill up that room right there. So, I wouldn't be shocked if Houston just says, thank you, but we're going to get younger and we're going to get a little bit more explosive. And we got the 2 guys on the roster already that can supplement what you do. Thank you guys for watching today's episode of the Locked On Texans podcast. We're going into the week together. Hope to see you on the other side of the weekend on Monday, where we will continue to talk Texans. Follow me on Twitter at John_Hickman12. Just do me a quick favor. Like, subscribe, and comment on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcast. Run those audio numbers up. Until next time, ladies and gents, Texan fans across the nation, it's cool being with y'all. Peace.